Kia ora.
And we're good.
We was at a tangi the last couple of days, and Morena was the funniest thing they kept saying. Apparently there's a bit of a joke to it, but I don't really know what the joke is. But anyway, we're good to go.
For the first time ever, Dr. Fresh brings you the BODGAST. Joined by special guest, Gary Puku Petley.
Vote for the change that you think is right for you.
No couple vibes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 1. It is the BODGAST with Dr. Fresh, aka D Fresh, and it's fantastic to be beaming into, well, your eyeballs at this time of the evening, morning, or wherever you may be tuning to us from, wherever you may be tuning into us from. My special guest for the very first BODGAST, proudly sponsored by the crew here at No Couple Vibes, is a man who is, well, doing his thing. He's wanting to be mayor in the up-and-coming local body elections, but tonight we're just going to catch up and find out a little bit about him. That is my man, Mr. Gary Petley. Chia, my brother, how are you?
Kia ora Marcus, good to bite.
Awesome to have Gary in the house this evening, this morning, whichever part of the world you might be tuning into us from. Gazza, without any further ado, give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself, brother.
Well, I was born and bred in Putaruru, went to school in Putaruru, and family was pretty well entrenched in Putaruru most of our lives. And that apart from 3 years when I got married, did my hikoi up to Auckland, and then came back. Didn't like it up there, hated it, wanted to go home, so been back here, came back in 79. I was married in 75 and came back in 79 to the paper mill.
Wow, 75, 79. They're numbers that I affiliate really well with, 75 being the year I was born, even though it looks like I was born in 85. I can understand that, but 75, 79, you look pretty young, Gary, for someone who's throwing around numbers like that, 75, 79.
I come from a pretty good gene pool, bro. My grandmother died when she was 98.
Wow.
My mother's still around. She's 87, 88 this year. And my dad sadly passed away just at the beginning of this term when I became a Putaruru ward councillor.
All right, got to ask you, Putaruru. You told me you were born in Putaruru. Now, everybody knows this. Putaruru and Tokoro people don't get on. True story?
No, that's a myth, bro.
It's a myth, you reckon, brother?
Because
hey?
a lot of you fellas, I know you fellas all hooked up with Putaruru women, and so there's no hate there. There's no hate
just love, eh?
All the hate was on the rugby field, bro.
Yeah. It was funny. I'll tell you a story about Putaruru. I was in Canberra one time and I was at this nightclub, and I was sort of introduced as one of the boys from Tokoro, and the bouncer at the club says, "Hey, man, we got a fella here. He's from Tokoro." I said, "Have you?" "Yeah, I just called him. He bounces here too," and called this fella out. And hey, this fella's from Tokoro, and the guy introduced himself. I forgot his name. He goes, "Oh yeah, bro, I'm from Putaruru," and I'm like, "Bro, that's not Tokoro, bro." You better tell your mate here, bro. Tokoro is not Putaruru. Putaruru's not Tokoro.
Oh, bro,
a myth, I guess.
That happens all the time, bro. And even though when I mocked the thing about the sport and that, and there was fierce rivalry between Pirates and Tokoro and high school All Boys back in the day and Putaruru, but once the whistle went, had the shower in the club rooms and celebrated.
Was that a shower together, Gary, or was that separate showers?
No, it wasn't that open. But it wasn't that open.
Hey. It would have been looked at, frowned on back in those days,
Frowned on.
Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
Hey. Crack up,
absolutely.
Man. Crack up. Who was always the better rugby club, Gary? Putaruru or Tokoro? Or Pirates, or however it rolls back then?
Well, if you talk, a lot of the guys you talk to, even around now, even though we're not playing, and you mention when I got into golf and that sort of thing, and you meet a lot of guys that have gone from rugby to golf, and you talk, back in Tokoro, Pipi Wirihana and LB Cook and all those guys, and Bam Kortika, they reckon, oh man, they were pretty harsh.
Those are some legends there you've just dropped.
So a few legends, mate, and a lot of legends have come out of Tokoro and Putaruru. But I think a lot of the ones from out of town, when they come here, they knew they were going to have a hard match, no quarter taken.
Awesome. Need to ask you, what's the biggest sporting trophy Pataru have won?
Oh.
Can you think of one, or is there one that Pataru have won? I'm only asking because I don't know. So you need to inform me here, Gazza.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think that the biggest club trophy in rugby, I think, was won by Tokoroa in about 74, I think. But that was I think Tokoroa beat Petone in the final.
Wow.
That was for the New Zealand wide club champion of champions, if you like. But I'm not sure. Pataru, when I was back in the day, I played for Pataru Marist. They had the two clubs there then, Pataru Marist and Athletic. So I played for Marist, and then when I left, they amalgamated in about early 70s. And that's when Wayne Smith and the two Hahaia twins and John O'Rourke and all those guys, that's when they formed a new club.
All right. Okay, born in Pataru. Spoke a little bit there about Pataru and some of the things you used to get up to back in the day. Tell us about your whānau, Gary.
I've been married to my wife Aria for 47 years. Got 4 boys, Tima, Stephen, Cameron and Leif. Tima lives in Perth, and Cameron and Stephen work out at Kinleith at the stores for OG, and Leif is the chilled foods supervisor at Countdown Pataru.
All right. You never thought of continuing to play the game, maybe for a girl?
No.
No? You happy with four boys?
Happy. Well, it was. Actually, we had a bit of a joke, my wife and I, because every time she got hapu, she used to be a smoker, and every time she got hapu, she couldn't stand smoke. And I said, look, I can't keep getting you hapu to stop you smoking. So something has to happen here. So she just knocked the smoking off, and we didn't push hard. And I think, and the hardest thing was we were both working shift work at Kinleith at the time.
Yep.
And we were just struggling being shift workers, just trying to put enough into the boys, and then we got to that age gap where the youngest one, Leif, was he was at school, and we just thought, nah, that's us. We're not going to keep trying and just have a house full of boys. And
that's the one. What's it like being a parent, bringing up 4 strapping boys? What was it, in the 70s, 80s? Was it in the 80s?
Yeah, it was. It was quite easy back then, and I think we come from a privileged background where we had the work to support them. You know, I mean, I mentioned it the other day in one of the Meet the Candidates. All the menswear shops down there, you know, back in the day, Marcus, when they had the Jimmy Cure sold all those American bloody baseball jackets and all that sort of stuff, and we bought the boys that because we could. And now, thank Christ they got warehouse, because that's all they're getting now, and that's where all the mokos get their shoes from.
Thank God they got active. Hey, thank God for active. But hey, awesome. 4 boys. And I've got to ask you the question, 47 years of marriage,
Yep.
How do you do it, Gazza? How do you do it? What's the trick?
Oh, it's hard work. You got to work hard. And we got married really young. I was 19. My wife was just out of her school uniform. But
don't say 40. Eh?
No, she was. No,
that's
she was
illegal
older
these
than
days.
that. She was older than that.
I'm just joking.
she was 17. She was 17, not quite 18. Yep. And I was 19, going on 20 sort of thing. And we had to grow up pretty quick. But those were the days back then where you even then pregnancies at a young age were frowned upon, but once we found out she was in the family way, we were married in 3 weeks. Like, there was no engagement or nothing. It was just, that's it, boy. That's your all black career down the drain. You gotta stay home and be a worker, work for your family now.
It's something about when you look back at those times, Gary. People used to hook up, pregnant, married, straight in their family. Like these days, it definitely ain't like that no more. But back in those days, sort of like you make your bed, you lie in it, you're in there for the long haul.
Yeah. And that was sort of put to us too at an early age. Like, you have your issues, but you weren't allowed to go home. You said, oh, can I come home for a couple of days? And no, that's what you got. That's what you've been dealt with. You stay there and sort it out. And that worked for us, you know, and we had to grow up. Both of us had to grow up pretty good. But I'm lucky in that my wife was pretty special from the get-go. So I met her in Tito, and my cousin got killed in a car accident in Cambridge. And my uncle brought a team down, rugby team down, and we played them. But my wife came down with the netball team, so we met, and then it was pretty much it from there.
No smooth lines. Can you remember sort of how it went, or did you just give her the wink?
Oh, I tricked her because she thought I had a flash car, but it wasn't mine. It was my dad's.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Cass. I remember a lot of those stories where, you know, they pretended it was their car.
Yeah.
They ended up getting the girl, and lo and behold, it wasn't even their car. Hey, I've heard plenty of those stories.
No, she found out when we had to go somewhere. We had to catch the bus, so she learnt pretty quick.
Catch the bus. I like that one. Bro, tell me a bit about your 4 boys. I mean, I know one of your boys is pretty famous. I think wasn't he on a cooking show somewhere?
Yeah, Cam's done really well for himself. He was sort of put Potato on the map a few years back when he made the top 10 in MasterChef. But there's a little bit of story around that, because he was mocking the ones that were on the year before, and his wife said to him, "Hey, why are you mocking them? If you can beat them, you should go on there." And she said, he looked at her and said, "Oh, go on then. Enter me." So she entered him, and then he was quite surprised when he got the phone call to come up for the interview. So wife and I, daughter-in-law and one of my mokos, we went up there and we took him up there, and I was having a shower at the motel because we went up the night before, so we went rushing. And we were having a shower, and then I got out the shower, my wife was there, and she goes, "Well, he doesn't want to go." I said, "What? We haven't come all the way up here and pay for a motel for 2 nights for him not to go. He's going." So we took him, and he did everything they asked him. "Do you make your own pasta?" "No." Do you do all this stuff here?" "No." And then he thought, "Oh, that's it, I'm out of here." But they did say to him, "What do you do?" And he says, "I'm a hunter-gatherer. I hunt, I fish, I dive, and I cook for my family." And that was it. You know, he got the thing in there, and it just went from there. And
you made some pretty interesting dishes too, I might add. If I remember from memory.
Well, you know.
Where did you learn that from? Hey?
Oh.
Do you have anything to do with that, Cass?
No, I'll get caught out. No, it was his mum. But we actually from that Marcus and that where my wife was from, she's Tuhoi, and the in-laws had a farm that backed onto the Rangitaiki.
Oh, right.
So the school holidays, they went over there with the wife's uncles, with the brother-in-laws and that, and they taught them. Well, him mostly. The other two weren't that interested in it, but he learned how to get the eels and the trout, and took them out hunting, and they weren't allowed to touch a gun until they said so. So he was quite lucky, and he just took all of their stuff up, and we were quite surprised with his success, because we knew he had it. It was just getting a lot of the stuff that he did on there. We had forgotten. We knew that talent ourselves because he used to cook for us, but at that level, there was a whole new ball game for him, and I'll tell you now, he was way out of his comfort zone. Wow. Way out of it.
Did he manage to open up a restaurant or cook in a kitchen after that, or what happened after the show?
After the show, he got offered a position at the Potato Hotel. Some people came in and wanted to do the restaurant again. They opened that up, and he went in there, and he was the chef there for a while, and then he got approached by a restaurant owner in Cambridge. The restaurant was called The Nash, I think it was. So he went there, and huge following, and he did really well. And then he got his own TV show, Cam Sky, and that was huge for him. But I think at the end of the day, with the hospitality industry, it was, he had to. The money wasn't that regular, you're doing oddball hours and that sort of thing, and so he was quite happy when everything finished that he he got a job out at Kinleith and got regular income and that. He was a lot more happy with that.
I think a lot of people don't realise, I mean, you'll know this too, because I know you've owned sort of your own businesses along the way too, and I suppose a lot of people don't realise when you work for yourself and you work in, you know, whether it be hospitality industry or the food industry or even as a baker, you got to work hard for your money, don't you?
You got to work hard for it, and the margins aren't that great, but yeah, and you got everyone wanting sponsorship for this and that, and you know, and trying to, like, you disappoint a lot of people because they don't take, like when you say no, especially whānau, but well, you know, we managed a few, we sponsored a few teams and that, but it is a hard industry, and you know, you've got to make the most out of it, but you can't give stuff away.
Oh no, definitely. I remember my parents owned a shop there for about 18 years, and I remember buying the Lohman Bakery with my mum for 2.5 years, and the reason why I owned it for 2.5 years is everyone said if you can run it for 2 years, it's a success. Yep. But I remember, you know, buying my first box of drinks from Coca-Cola and putting them in the fridge, and the kids rocking up and, Dad, can I have a drink? Yeah, of course you can have a drink, you know, grab a drink. And then when I started doing the margins, you know, 24 boxes of Coca-Cola, your profit's like 6 bottles.
Yep.
So if you give away 3 of your 6 bottles, you've only got 3 bottles that are profit. And so I very quickly understood why my mum used to pay for things when we grew up, and why my Asian mates who own dairies, why every 10 cents important, because those margins are tight, and I don't think people realise that. So, you know, when the kids just come, Dad, can I have a drink? Cordial's in the fridge, mate. Cordial's in the fridge. Just, you know, it's real tight. People don't quite understand that, Kes.
No, you're right, and when you look at the ram raids and all those sorts of petty theft and all that stuff that's going on, every community, you know, they don't understand what people have to do to build their business up. And we got when we had our shop in Tito, we got robbed twice in 1 week, and then they got the guys, I think there was 4 of them, got them, and then, you know, and then they go to court, and because they're on the dole, they get to pay you $5 a fortnight, and then, you know, and it's cost you about $2,500, $3,000 to replenish stock and fix all the damage and that up, but no understanding of that, eh?
And I know, you know, a lot of smaller businesses can't even afford insurance, Gary. You'll know this, it's just too expensive, too dear. So you go on the hope of she'll be right, you know, because you can't afford it. And, just not good at all.
No,
just
it's not good at all. It's not good, and that's what we need to do here better, is support the local business and that sort of things. And like I said earlier, you know, a lot of those shops that were here that made a lot of money when the glory days at Kinleith and all the sawmills and that were running, a lot of them aren't here anymore. The only one here is Larry down at Morrissey's Menswear.
I think you got broken into a couple of weeks ago too, didn't you?
Yeah, he got a window smashed, about $3,000 to fix.
Tell you.
$3,500.
Crazy. All right, bro. Tell us a little bit more about you, your whānau. How many brothers and sisters do you have? A big whānau, or what's the go there? I'm
the eldest of 7. I had 2 other brothers and 4 sisters. One got whāngai. One got whāngai out, and she was brought up with an auntie and uncle, and that's Tracy. He's married to Naratu.
Yep.
That's my sister. And I got another older sister up at Maramarua, one in North Shore and one in Brisbane, and a brother on the Gold Coast and brother in Papamoa. So we are a close unit. We're a very close unit, and I guess that was a lot to do with our grandmother. You know, we had a lot to do with our grandparents. We spent a lot of time with them growing up. So that sort of put us on that good space. So, but we're happy. We've got 16 moko. So the oldest one's 24 and the youngest is 8.
Wow.
So
it's good work, man.
They keep us busy.
That's a legacy on its own.
Oh, that's where our girls are. We got, I think I better count them. I might muck it up.
We can't have that happening, eh?
4,
Don't muck it up, Gary.
6 girls, 6 girls and 10 boys.
All right. Hey, I just got a question here coming through on my phone. I'm going to ask you, bro. It's from a follower via our Instagram page. If you were to become mayor, what's going to make you any different to anyone who's been mayor previous to you?
Well, like in anything, I think what the new, whoever you are, whoever that may be, whether it's me or Harama, we get the opportunity to put our mark on it, and not. We don't know as yet whoever's going to be the mayor. We don't know who the elected members are going to be because they've got 15 here running in Tokoroa, which is huge. And I guess it's just being true to yourself and listening. A lot of the criticism we get is that we don't listen enough to the people. So that's going to be, and I think for me, sort of being here locally, being born here locally, and I guess come from the working class background, and I've had a lot of involvement in community groups that I think that holds me in good stead for what I want to do. And I guess it's just trying to get people to trust the person who I am, and where I want to, and the mark I want to put on a district.
All right. Another quick question before I ask you some more questions from Instagram. I got a young 17-year-old here, and she wants me to ask you, what are you going to do for my grandparents if you become mayor?
Mate, we've been talking about that, and I think the strategy is for me, because I'm there now. You know, I'm probably old enough to be her grandfather, but I'm there now, and I think the strategies we need to work on and policies going forward is youth, jobs, and our mature range, if you like, because and the jobs are important for the main reason is that you can't stimulate a community without jobs, because they need money if they got money in their pockets, then hopefully they spend it locally, and then everybody wins from it. But the age group, what we need to look after them, because they're a special breed, and they deserve everything that they can get, because they've been in the community a lot longer than us. And we talked about that at the recent Potaruru Business Awards, where they celebrated 50 years of business in Potaruru. Back then, 50 years ago, 10% of the population was over 60. Now, 45% of the population are over 60. So our focus needs to change, and we need to look after all those areas, starting with the youth, get the jobs, health, housing, and what we do with the older people.
Actually, I've got a question, bro. It just popped into my head while we're talking. If you were to be elected as mayor, I notice, I'm not having a go at anyone, but I notice at council, we have a lot of people who commute to come to work. We have a lot of people that work or that come from Rotorua to come to work, outside of the South Waikato. Would you push for that to be changed? Because that irks me a little bit when we have the majority of people that work for local government coming from outside our district.
Yeah, and you are correct, and I think that we discuss that all the time, and I think the new CE that's here now, Susan, is we went through that phase during COVID where people were working from home, and she came in and changed that straight away and said, we need you back here because the people you're responsible for are here.
Yes.
And they need an answer from you immediately. They don't need to be ringing around to try and find where you are. So that sort of thing sorts it out. But I think getting back to that question, and I guess when vacancies appear, and it's not an excuse, but the ones that get the jobs, who apply for the jobs, who have the skills to do those jobs, don't live here, and that's our issue. So we can fix that. We can fix that with our trade training centre, and get the schools, get everything that we need for locally based jobs, and launch off that.
The f*** is up with that? Get qualified, people. Stop moaning and get qualified.
That's what they do, and that's the driver, bro. And that's the driver they need. They can't. Like we're getting applications from all over the bloody world, bro. From India, from Delhi, and all around the place, South Africa, but because we don't have the school base here.
We could blame it on the skill base. We could even blame it on the confidence. Hey, our people. I don't know what it is, Gazza. Is it a Māori Pacifica thing? Because we're trying to, with the fields that I work in, you're always trying to encourage young people to be believers, to believe they can be anyone they want to be. And sometimes I feel, we sort of lack that as a community, because we'll sit there and moan, but we won't do anything about it to sort of make the change.
We are a people that give up too easy. And I remember going to because I was a union delegate out at Kinleith for a number of years, and I went to a conference over in Rotorua, and it was mainly for Maori union delegates, and went over there, and all those issues were raised then, and people need like me. I do everything I do because I want to challenge. Yep. And you need to challenge yourselves, and those ones there don't hit a wall or knock on a door and it doesn't open. Go to another door and knock on that door until you find something that you need or what that fits you. But don't give up, because we're going to get away from that. And that's what get back to with our jobs and that sort of thing, and what stimulates an economy, and that's jobs. But don't rely on a welfare existence, because that doesn't help anyone. And it's a pride thing as well. And I don't mean that in a detrimental way. That's just a fact of life. Don't sit back there and say, that kei te pai attitude. You got to go out there and you got to get it. It's not going to come to you. And you got to look hard.
Totally agree. Tell only get you so far. Hard work get you the rest of the way.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
I'm a total believer in that. All right, guess, let me ask you a couple of things about you. What do you enjoy? Hobbies?
I loved rugby. I loved the environment of rugby. Cricket was one of my games.
What are you, off spinner?
Back in the day.
Off spinner or
no, not even. No,
don't
even.
tell me your underarm, guess.
No,
hey?
no, not underarm, but I wouldn't go that low.
Hey?
So medium.
Oh, your medium pace, eh?
Medium, bro.
You like working the ball from left to right, eh? Bit of swing?
Bit of swing.
Hey?
A bit of sandpaper. Help it out. Help the man out.
Is that actually, I'm going to ask you, like being a cricketer back in the olden days, and when I say the olden days, back in whenever it was, 70s, 80s, whenever you used to play cricket, how was it back then? Did ball tampering actually go on?
No, that didn't happen back in the day, but that was a new thing now when they're using something in their pockets, or they're using their fingernails or something like that. But back in the day, I used to play cricket down here on a Saturday when Alan Clark and all them were playing cricket, and they didn't do anything like that. They just try to knock you out. You just ducking all day.
I tell you, I actually love cricket too, and I must say I was brought up playing a lot of backyard cricket. Yeah. And back in our days, not too many people played for the Tokoro High School first 11. They were all sort of European. Yep. There weren't too many, I can't even remember any actually, Pacific or Māori.
Well, back in the day when high school was in, when we were playing rugby, and that we started up a cricket team there. And we were playing with the likes of Matangi. He played for the high school. He never played for any other club team, but he played for the high school, and we had a lot there. And a few of the Cook Island boys come down to Old Boys that were in the rugby with us. Tammy, Paul, and all those. We had a good team, but that didn't last long, because we all went to golf after that, because it was a lot slower.
So obviously golf's another hobby, guess?
Golf's a hobby. Horses. I've had a few shares in a few horses over the years, and not only a couple of ones paid their way, but not many.
Actually, I've always wanted to have a share in a horse, but jingus, the amount of money that I got, I can only buy the toenail. So, Gaz, if you can push me into someone who can give me a bit more than a toenail.
Oh, bro, we just got one. We've got one now. We got a share. Me and the boys. We got one and shared down with a trainer down in Taranaki. So we just got a small percentage, and we split the cost between four of us.
Mean.
And we just go with that.
What's it called?
Sacred Angel, bro.
Sacred Angel, eh?
Yeah, Sacred Falls filly.
It's a Sacred Falls filly.
And
that's pretty good breeding.
It's actually owned by the Waikato stud and Brendan McCullum. It never got sold at the sale. So
wow. So is it raced? Is it raced yet?
No. Too wet. It can't swim, bro.
You waiting for spring, huh?
Waiting for spring.
Hey?
Yeah.
Well, what's the targets in mind?
Oh, it'll be a stayer. It's not a sprinter. So we just gotta
What, 1,600 metres up?
up. Yeah,
Hey?
yeah. Probably a mile and a half.
Who trains her?
We'll get to Janelle Miller.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she does okay.
Oh, you'll have to let the boys know
Oh,
when to get on.
I'll give you a tip on the second one, baby. We want to get our money back on the first one.
Spoken like a guy who has a small share in that horse, eh? I love it. Actually, like to know you've had some good luck down there, just
but
quietly.
all that thing, though, like that, in the hobbies and that, you know, and even when I was at Kinleith and when I had the horses and that, and guys used to mock me and said, oh, what a waste of money. But then back in the days, you know, like all the guys that did the 10-speed bikes and used to do the taupo around the lake race, and they'd spend $2,000 on a set of gears and brakes for their bikes.
Yeah.
So it's all relative to what you want to spend for your hobby.
And I'll be honest, we couldn't afford to buy a horse, so me and a couple of the island boys with another Māori boy, we decided to get into dog racing.
Oh, yeah.
So we used to race dogs with old Danny Te Heko, bless his soul, and we had some great fun, man. You know, and it was just fun. It was more. There's nothing like taking a greyhound to the Auckland Greyhound Racing Club to headquarters and winning it with all these privileged people watching these fobs having a good time.
Yeah, and it is good. And we had one we took to Ellerslie and Bobby Vance rode it.
Oh,
Bobby Vance rode it, and it was a Sunday, and he weighed in. Bobby was, when I went to get the saddle, he was 2 kilos over the book weight, and we said, "Wait." So I went and told the trainer, and he said, "How heavy was he?" He said, "Hey, 2 kilos over." He says, "What?" So he talked to Bobby. The horse ran second, but he talked to Bobby after the race, and he said, "Hey, 2 kilos over." And he said, "It's Sunday." He said, "I don't lose weight on a Sunday."
it's Sunday, mate.
Yeah,
Hey?
but but we took him down to Hastings, and he was about his fourth start, and Michael Coleman rode him and said, get a better track, get him a mile, and he'd be all good. So we went down there, bro, and we had a ball. I went missing for a week. Because Quinella was 400 and the trifecta was $4.5 grand. So we had a few dollars on each one of those. So we just rang up work and said, "See you in a week."
See, back then, that's, you know, even now that's good money.
Oh,
Back then, that would have been
He paid $4.80 for. He paid $4.80 for a place, and the winner paid $38, and the favourite ran third.
Say no more.
We were laughing. Mate.
Hey, say no more. Pay the man.
Pay the man.
Pay him out. Pay him out. You mentioned golf as a hobby.
Yeah.
What's your handicap? Man, you know, spoken like a true burglar. Asking for his handicap. He thinks about it.
No, I've got to be careful because everyone mocks me every time I tell them my handicap. Because you've been on that for about 30 years, but I'm on a 21 handicap, and I don't play a lot, you know, with my shift work.
That's not too bad. 21's, you know.
I've been down to a 12, but you'd be lucky if I play 8 games a year.
It's only if your name's Johnny Mapu and you say you're 21. Hey.
Don't call
Sideways, that fella.
Don't call him Grey Fox for nothing, bro. Slippery ass. That fella ain't Rob Penny. He's another slippery fella.
All these fellas with their, you know, double-tiered handicaps, mate.
Oh, but they can't lie straight.
I love a bit of golf too myself, but yeah, the problem with golf, it takes a bit of time. So, you know, you've got to put a bit of time in the day out when you're doing so many things and you're committed here, there, and everywhere. You sort of can't fit it in. But there's nothing like hitting a white ball and chasing it around, Gary.
Well, it gets rid of all the frustrations, bro.
Oh, it does. It does.
You know, you think it hell. You just think of my name, hit it, and if it goes all right, then you feel much better. Just to think of a name, bro.
I'll tell you what, man. I love me some Tiger Woods. I used to read all his books. I used to sit there and just read everything that he put out. I think I got as low as one stage as about 7 handicap. But, you know, even to hold a 7 handicap is really hard. But I'm probably like you. I'm about an 18 at the moment.
Yeah, well, you get down. The thing is, with the golf, you start and you get down quick, and staying down there is that after that. Once you hit that 16 or 17, and just even playing to that is hard.
Big shout out to Mauso Funi. My man,
Oh,
hey?
fun. Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
If I told everyone I taught him how to hit a golf ball, would you believe me? True story. It's a true story. Hey? The man, eh? Love sort of going out with the bro, having a hit every now and then. Just awesome to watch these people that just can hit a ball and can control it. Power fade, power cuts.
Oh, bro, we went down to, because we got a group that goes away to the Charter Club, New Zealand Charter Club golf tournament every year, and I've been going for about 25 years, and we went up to Whangarei, to Kamo, to the tournament up there in Kevin Cortesi.
Yep.
He was there, and the first hole was a long par 5, but flat, and then it dropped down at the end. And he was waiting to tee off, and everyone was in. Because the other people were gone, and they said, oh, how good does this fella think he is? And I went, hey, said, look how far they are. I said, well, you just got to wait and find out. And they were mocking him. I think, yeah, he must think he's bloody, he must think he's pretty good, this chumpy. Well, Gav stood up to the TA, and it just went down,
Right
and
down.
it just shut them up totally. They just, holy hell.
Yeah.
And those guys, and they just worth going out there and playing, just watching, bro. And man, they're amazing.
Tell you what, these little fellas that can hit the ball a long way. I know it's all timing, but you can have the biggest muscles in the world and the largest forearms, but a little skinny 14-year-old can come and hit it further than you. Just crazy.
Yeah, bro.
Hey?
I played rep golf for Preble Cup for Tokoroa one year, and I played this bloody 13-year-old over in Morrinsville, and we beat them in the pairs, and he bloody beat me in the singles, and I went in, and he was around the corner, ringing his mum up. Tell his mum, he said, oh, I beat this awful mum. Oh, before we went there to win, and then he said, oh, how you getting on, babe? Oh, we got beaten in the pairs, mum, but it's all right. I'm playing this fat fella in the singles. I'll beat him. Well, he beat me. And then when I went into the clubhouse, and everybody said, oh, where's Jaden? I said, oh, he's around the corner. He's a bit upset, but he's crying, ringing his mother up to come and get him. And they said, you bloody bully. And then when they looked up at the score, and then they were, he's only 13, bro. But they don't fear nothing, bro. They're young ones.
Nah.
They just go out there.
Nah.
It's good to watch.
Other hobbies, guess? What's some other things you do?
Just watching, spending as much time as I can with the kids, with the mokos and that, with their sport, and their rugby. But Stephen played for. I played for Gunshield back in the day. Stephen played for Gunshield, and then I had 3 mokos that played for Gunshield as well. One, Devon, Cameron's boy, and then Cameron's other boy, Ashton, and my other moko that lives with me, Riley. They played together, and they were the last team to win the Gwyn Shield before they stopped their format of the game, so they don't play for the Gwyn Shield anymore. So, but that was cool, like they. So,
what type of koro are you? Are you the aggressive one? Are you the one that encourages, or are you the one that What type of koro are you?
Encouraging, and probably probably more, even when Stephen and Cameron and them were playing rugby and that, I probably tended, when I was coaching, to push them harder than anybody else, because I wanted them to do stuff that I never had the opportunity to do, and that probably wasn't a good thing either, and I admit that now. But with my grandkids, I just love to see them doing something. Not those kids that come in with their devices and they don't even get a hello or nothing. They just sit down. And so now my missus here, she'll have the odd day where she takes puts a note on the door. No devices. Put that away. Get it on your way out. But I like to do everything with them and encourage them to better themselves. My granddaughters probably get more favours than the boys, but that's the only difference.
Another question, bro. If you're to become mayor, what makes you different from everyone else that has been mayor? What's the point of difference for you, Gaz?
That's a hard question, because all go in here to do something right for the community, and I think what gives me an edge for this election, I think, is my interaction in the community, both with work and both with my hobbies, my sport and that sort of thing, and the different community groups that I've been involved with. And I like to push that mantra where you have to go in at boots and all. You have to be totally committed to everything that you want to achieve in a district, or it won't work. It just won't happen, you know. And then all you're going to get then is people telling you to get after the 3 years. And I don't want to be that guy. You know, I just want to put myself out there as being somebody reliable, show some integrity, and just be and just make people know that if there are any issues, if I'm the mayor, if something goes wrong, then I'll own that, and I'm happy to own that, because that buck stops with me.
How long you been councillor for, Guess?
For 3 years, bro.
3 years.
3 years from Potato.
How did you find that?
Good.
Yep.
Everything that I thought it would be. The governance side of it didn't. I had no fears for that, because I'd had governance roles over the years through the Board of Trustees and whānau Trust and that sort of thing. So that didn't. But I think what the time frames in which things are getting done were quite frustrating. But then when you get in there and have a look at it in depth, then you know where the issues are. And when I went to Swipix the other night, and I said, one said to the aspiring candidates here in Tokoroa, I said, you know, like, the only advice I can give you is to don't bring your crap here, you know, because you got to come in here and you got to work as a team, so and get through all of that stuff. Yeah, and you get through all of that stuff together, and there'll be compromises that you have to make, and then you have to make those. But if you don't like a decision and you lose a vote, then you move on and you go to the next issue and try and win something there in that space. But you don't go underground and start attacking people on Facebook or anything like that. And because once you go on Facebook and start interacting and indulging in that sort of thing, that's your 3 years pretty much done. You know?
So I suppose you need some type of, I don't know, skill. I don't know how I'd go as a councillor, Gaz. I'm a bit fiery, so I'd have to control that island temper of mine. But there's got to be a certain skill set, huh?
Well, yeah, it is, and I think the biggest skill set you have to have, and I guess I learned that from my experience as a union delegate out at Kinleith, because you had to, when you're a union delegate out there on shift work, you're everybody's brother, everybody's mother, father. That was the role that you had to do, because you and even giving marital advice and all that sort of stuff, which makes me comfortable at the best of time, because I go with the belief that, and for my own self, you know, like I'm pretty much open book, but your life is your life, and mine is mine, and they're different. But I don't make decisions on your marital status or anything like that, because that's not up for me to make. Because you can bet your bottom dollar, bro, that if they take your advice and it all turns to shit, who's going to get the blame? You know, and then I'm not that guy either. You know, but I will give an opinion, and it's my opinion, and they either go with that or not.
Let me ask you a question about deputy mayor. Do you know much? I don't know much about it. I'm asking you. Do you know anything about it? How does that work? Do you pick who the deputy mayor is if you become mayor, or you know, if Arama becomes mayor, does she pick, or how does it work? I'm interested.
Yeah. The mayor gets when the elections are finished, then whoever the mayor will be will have a one-on-one with everybody who's elected as elected member. And then you set your committees up and who goes to what. Then the mayor has the power to pick the deputy mayor for whatever reason. I'm not running with a partner. I have been asked that question. Well, who's going to be your mayor? Who's going to be your deputy? that I haven't even looked at that at this stage, because it'd be stupid of me to go down that road, because other people are sitting there and you don't know their skills until you've gone through that whole process and what people are bring to the table and that decision. And those conversations I will have once the result has been declared. But I'm pretty open on that. But for me, whoever I pick for deputy will be the person who I believe was the best support person for me and my job. For the best person, I think will be that suits the district as well. Like there'll be no, I'm going to grab one from Patariri because I'm from Patariri. It'll be whoever I think is the best support person for me for what I need to do to get my job done.
So that's interesting. So the politics really doesn't stop once the results come, because you sit down and you talk with everyone. So obviously everyone will be plugging themselves.
Everybody will be making their play for that, and some. And again, I'll get back to the Tokoroa situation, mate. You know, you would have thought that those ones that have been there, when you're interim and you're already in there, then there's always that perception that it's harder to get you out. But when you got 15 running, all sorts of equations can happen and all sorts of scenarios can be played out. You got your little cluster groups that are supporting each other, and then you get some that are just running on their own. But you know, you have to factor all of those in, because you don't. This is going to be an interesting battle here. And even me, you know, like I put one in for council for Pataruru, and people have asked me, why did you do that? Why didn't you just concentrate on the mayor's job? And I'm concentrating just on the mayor's job. But if I don't get it, then I still want to give something, and I still want to have a presence at the council table. So my next option is ward councillor for Pataruru. And I didn't want to come across as being that arrogant that I thought I just got to turn up and it's mine. And it doesn't work like that, because anything can happen right till the last day. You know, so it's going to be and I think from that point of view, there's going to be an election. It's going to be an interesting one. And sadly, I don't even know whether it's going to be about issues, Marcus, because it could just be a populist vote on who the most popular person is, and that has its issues. In that space.
It does. I think just off the top of my head, going back and taking a look at how many people actually voted in the South Waikato over the past 3 or 4 elections, numbers are just terrible.
Yeah.
It's just terribly low.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we always vote. Our fathers always taught us, you know, just vote, man. You gotta have your say, and a lot of people in the South Waikato really haven't been having their say over the past, 3 or 4 elections. Yeah. Is it going to change this year? It's funny, I've been in a few places over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I think Tokoroa, if I'm to say Tokoroa, even Pataruru, I'll throw Pataruru in there, or South Waikato in general, have the least amount of signs up. What's going on? Like, a lot of places that I've been to, Christchurch, Hamilton, Tauranga, I know there's a lot more people running, but you just feel like there's an election when you drive around those places, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is that same feel not here in Tokoroa or Pataruru, for that matter of fact? Are people just thinking, I want to get there on my own accord, or?
Yeah, I don't think it's just our district by nature. I think everybody's just so low key that no one likes to be out there with the flowery stuff. And I guess and a lot of the big areas, and I've seen that myself when I went over to Rotorua and Whakatane. I had to go over to Whakatane beginning of last week, to pay some bills, because I'm still a chair of Whānau Trust over there. And they have the new trustees and the chair haven't been accepted by the Mayoral Land Court yet, so I had to go over and do that. But you look over there and there's 6 people over in Whakatane running for mayor and council. So they're on their billboards, it's got vote for so-and-so, whoever they are, mayor and council. So, they're, and yet people would say either run for one or the other. But, it just depends. And I've done the sums. I've done the sums here, and the population base over here, if they vote, is a lot higher than Pataruru and Tito and Arapuni combined. And that's one of the other reasons why I threw my head in the ring for the ward one, because I thought, well, I've got to work really hard. The numbers don't stack up, but I think if I can if I can do well in Pataru and Tito and Arapuni, then I think it'll be an interesting race here in Tokoro.
How are you feeling in general, Gary? How are you feeling in general? What's your overall feel? I mean, what are we? What are we? 4 weeks away from?
Yeah, three and a half.
3.5 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling? How are you feeling in general? How's the Wairua?
I'm okay, and I guess that comes down to I've got some good support people here in Tokoroa, and I've got some good people over in Pataru, and I'm just putting myself out there where I can, and just playing it my way. I'm not being arrogant about it. I'm just being me, and that's the advice that I've been given by people. Just be you, bro. Don't be anything that you're not, because people will see that for what it is. So there's going to be an election, and there will be a result, and all will be revealed about 2:00 on Saturday afternoon of the 8th. But having said that, though, I finished. I'm a tanker driver at Fonterra, and I finished my employment there on Saturday, on the 17th. So I finished there. I've handed my notice in.
That's this Saturday.
That's this Saturday, and I put my notice in for that just because I want people to know that I've taken this opportunity and this challenge seriously, and I don't want them to, he's a half-by fella, because if he doesn't get it, he's still got his job. But that's not what I'm doing. I want to signal to people that I'm ready to go, and I want that job. So, interesting couple of weeks coming up.
Oh, I tell you, interesting couple of weeks. We've got to get people to vote. Get on out there and vote. Yeah. And I think you've got to be registered to vote. If you're not registered, well, you're too late. But those who are registered, they can still go out there now, and they can fill out a form, and they can go on the register. But they have to fill a form and get that in. And once they got that in, they can have what they call a special vote. So the time's not too late. They might think, it's too late now, we won't get a vote. But they can go down and see the returning officer here at council, and fill out a form, and that'll go on the register, and then they can have a special vote. I'm going to be cheeky. If you become mayor, are you going to come and fix our fence? I've been trying to get council to fix out the back there by the basketball court. If you become mayor, it's like I keep talking to people, man, they do all about it.
I'll vote. If I'm the mayor, I'll go around myself on the 7th of October, and I'll get everybody who's got all their billboards up there, and we'll come and put them all up there as a thing to help you up there as a temporary measure.
Look, I love it, bro. I love it. Hey, as we're sort of coming to the end of things, bro, I just want to ask you, people watching this podcast and obviously getting to know you a little bit more, what's 2 fantastic things you want them to know about you?
Just my family values, I guess, and where I come from, my background, and unashamedly say that, yes, I'm from a working class background, but I have a huge community involvement, and that's where I think my reach will be, and to people, and appeal, if you like. And I'm not, because I come from that background, I communicate with people at that level. I'm not up there talking down, because that's the first thing people don't like. Then the best thing to do when you want to switch people off is talk down to them. Everybody's at the same level as me. I don't think I'm any better. I had a guy come and meet me when we were blessing the taonga for the safits at the toilets there, and he come to me and he called me, Mr. Petley, and I said, bro, we're already on the wrong foot now. Don't ever call me that.
Hey.
Call me Gary, call me Puku, whatever you want, bro, but don't ever call me Mister. Yeah. That's not me. And he gets, but he was good. He was good. He was good about it. But I just want to be me, but I can still interact in those levels that I need to, on behalf of council and on behalf of the district. But I'm pretty much come from a level base, and that's anyone who's lived with the grandmother, and my family life and everything, and my marriage, 47 years of marriage and everything, all the virtues that I get in my marriage, I take into everything that I do in my in my whole life, and that works for me. You know, so that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell.
Are you good to your mum?
Yeah, bro.
You know, it's funny. Peter Mulholland, one of the best league recruiters has ever lived. He passed away earlier on this year. One thing he said to me about how he recruits league boys. I says, "Oh yeah, tell me the story." He says the first question I asked them is, "Are you good to your mum?" And I said, "Oh, okay, interested." I was totally interested.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? He says, "I only sign players that are good to their mums, because those are the values of a good young man."
Yeah, right.
And I sat there and I thought, well, I'm good to my mum, big time. But you know, to hear someone say that at a professional NRL club, you know, the first thing you ask boys, are you good to your mum?
And you don't get any more sound logic than that. And when you come from, like we've seen the ones from here that go over there and then Jesus, they're in the headlights for the wrong reasons and all that sort of stuff, but they're good boys at heart. And they just got to remember that where they come from, you know. And my grandmother, like I spent a lot of time with my grandmother growing up, and it was about, because she was widowed fairly early, and I think there was quite a few of my cousins that had that opportunity to spend time with her. When one went, then the next one went, then I was in there as well. I had my turn in that as well. And there's no love like a grandmother's or a mother's. And I was fortunate enough to have a really good relationship with both my grandmothers and my mother and my mother-in-law. So
My man. All right, bro. Before we wrap it up, bro, you want to play a quick game with me? Hey, you keen?
One of those ones.
One of those ones. A quick game, bro. It's a quick game. Easy game. Right. You just have to choose A, B, and some A, B, or C. You know, and this way, people who are watching get to know you a little bit, bro.
Okay, bro.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, let's start off with some food. Eh? McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
What's your go-to at McDonald's, bro?
Chicken burger.
My man. All right, here's a good one. KFC or CFC?
KFC, bro, because I don't know what the other one is.
Fried, that's what that is. Country fried chicken. I know you can cut that out, but country fried chicken's the other one. Anyway, we'll go KFC. All right, brother. New World or Countdown?
New World.
Interesting.
Better options. And they got more variety. And I hope my boy's not listening, because he won't be happy. But no, they got better options and more variety.
And the Kiwis too, eh?
And Kiwis.
Yeah. All right, let's
not
go.
Aussies.
But hey, I love me a little bit of Countdown every now and then. They have the best reduced to clear stuff, old Countdown, do eh?
Yeah, right.
Hey, all right. Let's go up a level, huh? Crab or crayfish?
Crayfish.
Hey, all day?
Yeah, right.
All right. Scallops or mussels? Mussels. Yeah. Hey, what's the best way you like doing your mussels, guess?
Cam. I'll just roll with the vinegar and that, but Cam does mean one with a chipotle sauce and there's mean, bro, half shell. Just heat the sauce up and pour it over.
You need to come over to one of your whānau kaikais, bro. Hey, Chinkas. That's just tickled my, my interloins. You can see I have plenty of them. All right, let's go up again. All right. Beef or lamb?
Lamb.
Man after my own heart, lamb.
Bit more hindu in the lamb.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, beef, don't cook it properly, it's too dry.
Hey. Corned beef or mutton flaps?
Oh, mutton flaps, bro.
Heaps of juice in there, heaps of goodness.
Yeah.
Heaps of goodness. Hey?
There was a staple diet back in the day when I was working in the bush, with mutton flaps and cabbage and spuds, bro.
Oh, I can imagine those. It's funny, story. Let's just interrupt. Little story. When I used to work in the bush when I was in high school, we used to go and do the planting. And I remember for lunch, hey, boys would pull up, big feeds. Me and old Tino Tuai would go and wash our hands. All the boys would look at us weird, eh? Look at these two, washing their hands. We wash our hands. because, we didn't want dirt. And, man, I tell you what, after the third day, washing the hands just went out the window, mate.
Yeah.
You were tired, you were hungry, you're just in there with the bread. And everyone's like, ooh. I said, nah, bro, when you work hard, you just eat, bro. You just eat, eh?
Oh, we used to do that when we were all working for Bill King straight out of school. And you used to go, if you got back late, the bloody buggers already started on your lunches, bro. So the next day we went out and we hid our lunch boxes when everybody went. We hid our lunch boxes in the fern. And then when the foreman came back and he was checking all our lunch boxes and he knew we had hidden them, so he moved the van. He moved the van up the road. We couldn't find our lunch boxes.
Good story. Good story. All right, duck or mutton birds?
Mutton bird.
Mutton birds.
Yep.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you would. Just knew it. All right. 2 or 3 more. 2 or 3 more, eh? Soap or body wash?
Soap.
Soap. All right. Let's start to wind it up just a little bit. Gary, are you a scruncher, a wrapper, or a folder?
Folder.
Folder. My man. Folder. All right. Couple more. 2 more. 2 more. And you've got to think with an open mind, Guess. Think with an open mind.
Oh,
All right. You ready? You ready, bro?
Set up. Bro.
Hey, no setup, bro. No setup. All for the likes, bro. All for the likes. Hey? Undies? Boxes? Or G-string?
Boxes.
I was actually going to say nothing, but I just didn't want to sort of stitch you right up, hey, bro? Hey.
That one with the... Back in the day when we were living in Tito and we had our business, they had a fancy dress night for the Tito Primary. And I had to go because Supaleka Patararu, they got hit up for some sponsorship. And they said, we'll only sponsor it if I was their model. And mate, the rigmarole when we were going through all of that, because one of my mokos were at home. My daughter-in-law and them, they were trying to shave my legs because I had to put these bloody stockings on. And my moko took the wife out in the thing. Man, it's Papa girl. And I said, what? What'd you say, boy? He said, are you a girl? I said, no. But that was good. That was a good night. But I had to wear one. I had to wear a G-string bow. And
Bro, that I've just got images of that in my head there. Gary?
If you were there on that night, bro, there's stuff you wouldn't be able to unsee. It was horrific.
Oh, I love it.
And my daughter-in-law, she was hapu. And then straight after that thing, my wife and I went back over to Waiho for the weekend because we had to go and catch up with some from whānau kaupapa over there. And then we just got there and then we got the phone call that my daughter-in-law had gone into labour.
Wow.
And I said, so that's what me wearing a G-string that night did to her.
Bro, hey, the man.
Oh.
So there you go, whānau. If you're, stretching out those labour pains, we can get Gaz into a G-string for you. Does the trick. Does the trick. All right, final question tonight, brother. Final question in our game. And I'm sort of, after that story, I'm not too sure where you might land on this, but you've been married 47 years, so that's a good thing. You ready, bro?
You're right.
Men, women, or both?
Strictly woman. Strictly woman. Strictly woman.
He was just about to tell a story. You were just about to tell a story there, Gary.
No.
No, you're going to hold on to that?
Yeah. Next one.
Next.
Nearly slipped up, mate.
Oh, I love it, bro. I love it. Hey, all I want to say to you, man, it's been awesome catching up with you tonight on the podcast. Our first guest here, and I just want to say, as I look at the camera, if you're in the race for this year's 2022 local body election and you'd like to come in and sit with Dr. Fresh and have a chat with him, you are more than welcome to. Show me the money. Show me the money. No, anyway, it's been good to have you in, bro. Good to have you in, and we just want to wish you all the best, bro. Whatever the outcome, I'm sure the outcome will be the right outcome.
Yeah, well, it'll, and the thing is that people get to decide, and I think we both bring something different to the table, and we just work with that, and whatever happens, it's what the people want, and that's what they voted for. So you can't argue with it.
And speaking about voting, we do encourage everyone out there in the South Waikato, if you are eligible to vote, vote. If you want to vote and you haven't enrolled, get along to the council. They'll give you some more information on how you can make that happen, because you can't really have a say if you don't have a vote. You can't moan about, the rubbish bins, whatever, the curbs, the water, all that sort of crap if you don't vote, okay? So get on out there, register, vote, and have your say on the 7th of October, 8th of October?
8th of October is closing day, but just a little plug for the people who like to attack people that get elected. Bro, it's not an easy space for people. They put themselves out there because no one else does. So easiest thing to do in life is criticise people, bro. It takes a special person to try and get in here and change it. So.
Of course it does, bro. Of course it does. And that's a great way great sentiment to end our podcast on tonight is, don't have a go at them. They've put themselves out there, and that's one reason why.
Just leave that to me. If I don't make it, then I'll criticise them because I can.
Brother, again, good to have you.
Thank
to
you,
have you on the
Marcus.
podcast tonight, my bro. Appreciate
you,
it. Best of luck.
Thank you, my man.
And we'll catch up for a Pepsi Max sometime soon. It is the BODGAST. Dr. Fresh, proudly sponsored by Waikato Vibes. Thank you for your support.
The BODGAST, only on No Couple Vibes.